Another win, another clean sheet, but no favours from elsewhere this week. The title race rolls on. Welcome to the Blue Monday podcast. Title race. I've mugged myself off there, haven't I? The promotion race rolls on. I'm not for 1 minute suggesting we're in the title race. Or are we in the title race? Who knows? Craig, are you feeling any different this week? Or has the enormity of now, when everybody starts winning together, it all gets a little bit, this is going to be a tough old running, isn't it?
Yeah, I think in terms of what we feel, in addition to obviously last week was a fantastic performance and a great result, but yesterday was just professional, wasn't it? It was job done. We knew what we needed to do. We did it with very, very little fuss whatsoever, and just move on to 2 weeks' time as it is now.
Dave, we're going to get into it. We'll talk about yesterday. We're looking at all the other fixtures, at the table and all the permutations. When the three teams, especially Barnsley, the way they did it as well, all win at the same time. Do you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah. No, I mean, we'll get on to Barnsley in a bit. That was a pretty good result. Pulled that one out of the bag late on, unfortunately. But Plymouth, I mean, fairly routine. We all expect them to turn over Forest Green, which they did, apparently without too much fuss. As we did the same against, I must say, a very physical Shrewsbury, I would say, yesterday.
Yeah. Dave, if you could possibly, please, just pull your mic a little bit forward. We're getting a little bit of... There we go. That will do. Right. Yeah. Welcome, everybody who's watching live on YouTube. If you're listening after the fact, you can join us at 8 p.m. every Sunday on the YouTube channel. We will just say a few hellos. Lee, Nige, Charlie, Gary, Mullet, Elliot, Big Cheese Comedy, Big Ashley, Cheese. Jack, Neil, Tony. I'm going to miss some people out, guys. There's loads and loads of people down here. I'll go from the bottom up, really. Eric, Colin, Dan, Michael, Zorak. Lots of regulars here. We really welcome you. Get your comments in as we go. We'll try and read the odd one out, but we will, when we go to the questions, make it all about your input. All the more reason to join us live each and every Sunday. And if you are live, please do hit the thumbs up button and help us out. So, Craig, a very, very surly press conference. I don't know if you saw it from Steve Cottrell going into this one. Not very happy with the amount of money we have in relation to... I kind of understand where he's coming from, but it is what it is. And we've been the other side of that situation many times. And I'm sure Shrewsbury will face teams that are the other side of that. But this was a sticky one, wasn't it? We spoke a lot about set plays, about their ability to, dig in and get clean sheets. And they've had a really good season, frankly, haven't they? This was a tripwire, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And as the guys were saying on the pre-match show, they're just very efficient at what they do. They don't pretend to be anything other than what they are. They're a solid, dogged, rigid team which do get results by virtue of playing to their strengths, which were in flashes. We saw bits of it yesterday, didn't we? First half, they did get a lot of balls into our boxes, as soon as they probably could on a lot of occasions, and we did in the main cope with it well. Walton had to pull off a decent save in the first half, didn't he, from a Leahy header? But they were very much a step up from certainly the home games that we played in recent weeks.
Dave, we've got this haves and have-nots narrative for League One. Honestly, you wouldn't have put Shrewsbury in the haves, and they're in that top 10, and then there's the gap beneath. It's done a good job, hasn't he, Cottrell? However, he was before and after the game.
Yeah, no, he was, certainly was, wasn't he? No, they've had a really good season, or having a really good season. 55 points, something like that. And probably up until a couple of weeks ago, on a great run of form. I think they won 5 straight up to a couple of weeks ago.
Nice fixtures, Dave, wasn't it?
Well, okay, but you still winning 5 straight. You've got aspirations, haven't you? And they're not a million miles away now. Probably yesterday's result was the final nail for them. Probably wouldn't expect them to make the playoffs. But as Craig quite rightly said, they're very, very good, very efficient at what they do. They get the ball in the box early, and again, as we've said in recent weeks, you don't want to concede to these teams. And yeah, Davis Walton had to make a very, very good save from Lee header, and then another save, I think, was it Shipley or someone later on in the until his near post. So after we went one up, but quite physical. I would say, and yeah, as you say, dogged and robust, really. But yeah, very, very good at what they do, I think.
We'll get to the town side in a minute. I'll just bang through the Shrewsbury team. Some calibre in there. Morosi was good for Coventry in Championship. Obviously, we know Matt Pennington, Che Dunkley, Flanagan, Moore. That smells like 4 centre-backs across the back line, does it? Very Tony Pulis. Luke Lay with bigged up Winchester. Bennett's ex-Norwich, isn't he? Shipley, Street on loan from Palace. Pike. Don't tell him your name. Yes. And in deference to Shrewsbury as well, I always press that wrong button. It's horrible, that view, isn't it? I think Bayliss got injured maybe last week. He's now out for the season. Udo is out for the season. Nurse is out for the season. So, I'll stop praising Shrewsbury. I'm trying to make it sound like we've beaten somebody because, frankly, in these big wins, maybe against Morecambe, Forest Green, Burton of late, you couldn't necessarily say the same thing. Gary, thank you so much. £5 super chat. You can support via super chat. We would just urge you to hit the thumbs up button, but if you want to be as kind as Gary has just been, you can do so, and we thank you very, very kindly. Right, Craig, Ipswich team. Then this is getting familiar now, isn't it? Walton in goal, Clark, Wolfenden, Burgess, Davis, Longo, Morsey, Burns, Chaplin, Broadhead, Hurst. Are we almost in? And I won't name the team because it'll annoy. But I remember a team going on a long winning streak, and the manager just, while the winning streak went, don't change anything. Are we now in that mode now? With every win, this team just doesn't change now.
Yeah, 100%. It looks good. A good team now, doesn't it? Everyone knows what they're doing. You've got people like Clark now looking fully up to speed. From a physical perspective, he looks bloody up to speed. But from an understanding, the guys in front of him, the guys inside him, Luongo and Morsey now looks like a proper centre midfield partnership. And Hurst is now, having his best game since the last best game last week, sort of thing. So yeah, that is now our starting 11. You would have thought for every game between now and the end of the season. You can't really see it changing horses for courses and bringing Ladapo in for any reason, because Hurst does now look certainly more mobile and now goal scoring threat.
David, €10 on the super chat. Thank you so much. Thank you, Gary and David, for their kind contributions in the chat. Make sure you ask a question in the segment later. Dave, you like the balance of this team now? It looks on paper to make more sense than. I'm not saying the teams didn't make sense, but it really just kind of looks good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. A well-oiled machine, I would say, at this moment in time. At times yesterday they were just sort of going through the gears really at times. Really easy on the eye. Luongo's come in, played alongside Morsey, and obviously I think we'll get to Morsey and his yellow card avoidance, which has been absolutely something to behold, really, because I don't think it's greatly affected his performances, and certainly the last couple of games that Luongo started, is probably Morsey's back to his best that his form ever really did. I don't think it really ever did. But absolutely superb. So yeah, right the way through the team, Burgess, we said it before, Burgess, Wolfenden, Clark, Burns, Morsey, Luongo. And yeah, I mean, Hurst up front is he's a physical specimen, isn't he? He doesn't mind putting it about, and talented. You can see now, talented boy, real talent.
Dave's alluded to it now, and you have as well, Craig. Are we noticing the extra physicality in terms of the size of Clark and Hurst and the speed and directness of Broadhead?
Yeah, yes, you are, and also the speed and directness of Clark.
Okay.
The guy I sit with, Glenn, he said yesterday that he just looks Clark just looks like a proper modern footballer. He's big, he's strong, he's quick, he's direct. Now everything he does is with intent, whether it's tackling someone or whether it's going forward with the ball or passing the ball to Burns. everything he does is with purpose and intent, and it just gets us. And this is no disrespect to Danasi, and he's done fantastically well. But again, you're seeing another step up from the purchase that was made in January. Similar to Broadhead, it's a step up from Harness, who wasn't doing a bad job. He's probably just
like him.
a little bit below standard. Yeah, that's right. But it's a hell of a step up in that respect. Luongo to Humphreys, it's no disrespect again to Humphreys because he's a kid learning his trade, but Luongo is 2 or 3 levels above what Humphreys is, and as a result, it's freeing up Moores. We hopefully everything's just gelling and coming together at exactly the right time. It's just a question of whether we can rely on other people to do a job for us above us, if you know what I mean.
Just going to read a few comments before we get into the action. Nigel, Hurst is a class act in the making. Surely, Gary, consistency seems the approach. There was one word I want to read there. Harry Clark will score a Thunder Bastard before the end of the season. We will find out. Now, Dave, you talked about a well-oiled machine. Talk to me about the pattern from kickoff. The first goal, and answer me, is Wes Burns now in form?
Yeah, I'd say he's probably back to where we back to where we saw him last season. I think. I mean, from the off, we were in the ascendancy, but as Craig said, Walton had to make a very good save from Lee, very good cross from Pennington. I've got to say, absolutely first time pinging cross. I think we're pretty much in the ascendancy. I can't remember any glaring chances particularly. Can you, Craig, before the goal? But the goal was just again a bit like the goal last week, a thing of beauty, but with a couple more passes really. So it's just so simple, really. Walton takes his time. I think eventually sort of squares it to Wolfen and plays pretty much a straight ball to Chaplin, who's in acres of space. They've been drawn across wide right. He carries it on, I think, just inside their half. Just plays a straight ball down the line to Burns, and he's at his fullback. And Burns did really well what he did last season. Just he's got that extra yard of pace. Just makes a yard. Doesn't really go past the defender. Makes a yard. And again, it's such a great ball. He doesn't, he just chips it into a good area. And if you really, again, you look at Hurst, the cleverness of Hurst and the movement of Hurst. He goes, he comes, and he goes again. I think he gets between Dunkley and I think maybe Leahy again, and it's just a great header, isn't it? Takes the pace off the cross and angles it across Maroney in the far corner. Great, really, really pretty goal. Great goal.
Craig, I don't want to open up Pandora's box, but I'm going to. Remember we had that god-awful week around Bristol Rovers and Cambridge where anybody who possibly suggested that adding elements of direct play, maybe an assistance, was kind of yelled as some technical Luddite, don't, trust the process, blah, blah, blah. It is great to see these two really lovely direct goals. You can have direct football in a passing system like we've seen with this partnership now with Burns and Hurst. And hopefully is Kieran McKenna now giving us the best of both worlds with pattern of play, but players that can turn the opposition, players that can, cross a ball and do direct things at speed as well.
Yeah. And it was noticeable yesterday, as sort of Dave was saying there about Wolfenden having acres of space and Chaplin on the right. Morsey had a lot of time, didn't he? In the centre, they were passing out to Morsey, and completely opposite to how Accrington played against us last time. He had time to just stand on it, turn and enter Shrewsbury's half, really. The amount of territorial possession we had was remarkable in the first half. We were encamped in their half. They were basically letting us have it. But what was noticeable is, as you say, Ben, we were doing things a bit more quickly in the final third. It was one touch, it was two touch, and we just seemed to be on it from the very first whistle. As Dave says about the Hurst movement, what's also good, if you watch the replay, he's watching Dunkley as well all the time.
Yeah.
So he knows when Dunkley's looking one way, he's gone. He's looking behind him, and Hurst has made that run to the back to make the run to the front post, and the cross is on its way. It's just a really great goal and a really fantastic run.
So, do you agree with that, Dave? Dominant first half. I mean, I sound like I'm being a little bit whiny. We have got the second goal in first halves of late.
Whilst it was 1-0, they, as we said, they had enough about them. after the goal, Walton had to make a pretty good save, I think, from Shipley on his near post. Really good bit of defending from
You liked
Burgess.
Shipley at Coventry, didn't you, Dave? In that
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
1920
yeah.
season, didn't you?
Yeah, he was all right yesterday. Really good bit of defending by Burgess on the back post with a little ball across the 6-yard box. But other than that, did their keeper have too much to do? Probably not. Luongo had a pretty good header, didn't he? He got his angles wrong. From not again, that was a bit of ball played into Hurst's feet. He put run round the corner quite high to Burns' first time cross, and yeah, probably if it had been the other way round and Hurst had been in that position, he might well have buried it, but Luongo just got his angles wrong there. But yeah, at 1-0, big physical side, like to get the ball in the box, set plays. Yeah, you're certainly, there was a degree of nervousness at half times. We played really well. We may be far the better side, really, really well. But whilst it's 1-0, you always, it is that nagging doubt there.
And as you say, Dave, sorry, but as you said, Dave, Christian Walton probably had to be the more alert of the two goalkeepers in the first half, didn't he? For those two saves he had to make.
You can't not be alert against a good, set play side like Shrewsbury. I'm just remembering that game they had. It was Duncan Ferguson's first game for Forest Green, where they basically just scored 3 goals at the end.
Do you know what? Funny enough, their set plays, I think, weren't brilliant. I was expecting a bit more, actually, with delivery and stuff. I mean, I think we defended them really well, to be fair, but they weren't great, really, were they, Craig? I didn't think. Perhaps they didn't really have that many, to be fair, but
no,
not many. There certainly had more. There were more long throws in the last couple of games, weren't there? Than in the one that we had at the weekend, noticeably so.
Into the second half, and we're going to mention them a lot later on, but Plymouth laid down the gauntlet with a quick second goal after half time to kill their game, and we did the same, Craig.
Yeah, we did. But as you said just now, Ben, about us having scored the second goal in the first half recently, it didn't take that long, thankfully, into the second half. Because you say you're always a little bit on edge should a corner or a free kick get slung into your box. But previous to us scoring, we'd actually had a goal disallowed for offside, which transpires may or possibly not have been offside, where Morsey dinked it out to Davis, who hit it first time back across the box to Chaplin. There was some funny officiating, certainly from the linesman. I thought yesterday the linesman that was in front of us had a strange game. I think the linesman out in front of the Portman Terrace was getting pelters for balls potentially not going out and being given out. But yeah, so talking about the officials, actually, this is where the referee did a good job, because Clark played the ball. I think it was Clark played the ball out to Burns right on the touch line, and Burns knocked it inside to Chaplin and went to make his run down the wing and got basically bundled into the advertising hall.
Clotheslined, didn't he? Clotheslined.
Yeah, he's on his backside, and the referee is basically going to blow his whistle, but he just lets to see what happens with Chaplin, see what transpires. And as it turns out, Chaplin picks the ball up. He runs into the space that Burns would have been in. Cuts inside Shipley and Leahy, gets inside the box. I think it's Flanagan that eventually blocks his shot. But as it happens, Luongo's running pretty much full pelt into the box at the same time, and it falls to him on the volley, and he side foots it home first time. So yeah, I think that was one of those ones where you looked at the referee and thought, oh, he's going to turn around and celebrate here. Like who was it that did that in the Premier League? One of the refs got pelters for it, didn't they, for celebrating maybe Durkin or someone like that a few years ago. Celebrating, giving him the advantage. Yeah, exactly. Because that was very good refereeing.
It was.
He just let it go. Okay, now you've got the advantage. You're going to carry on, and yeah, thankfully, so the ball deflected, fell to Luongo. Yeah, side foot home beautifully, first time.
We'll come to you in a sec, Dave. Just real quickly, Dominic, thank you so much in the chat. Super sticker there, $4.99. Thank you guys so much for the support. 3 of them already. Fantastic stuff. So we really, really do appreciate that. Do hit the thumbs up button as well. That's absolutely free, Dave. I'm sorry, your reflection on the goal.
No, it's just sometimes I watch Chaplin. It's almost unfair. He's playing in that division. To be fair, he's so good, isn't he? Such a great player. And just the finish from Luongo, as Craig said, he sort of arrives in the box sort of late. Feature yesterday, we're getting bodies in the box, and just a great finish. It's not an easy finish. As Craig said, he was running full pelt and just side-footed it, angled it across the keeper, absolutely. And he was brilliant. Luongo was very, very good yesterday.
What I like, Dave, is we hear it in the press conferences, and we now see it on the pitch. The growing understanding Kieran McKenna seems to have now that maybe, obviously, you wouldn't have from coaching Man United, of the very specific beast that League One is. And we were talking about it, simple things that you've been talking about for years, Dave. Get a third man central midfield runner into the box. Do you know what? Do you know what I mean? Starting to learn those things in attritional games,
and I
really
think
can
so.
make a difference.
And I think so. And it just shows the guy, doesn't it? You know, Luongo. Okay, we knew Luongo 10 years ago, didn't we? And you know, we knew he was a player at this level. Sheffield Wednesday obviously didn't work out for him at Middlesbrough. And then a player signs and he's injured for what, 6 weeks, probably. Maybe probably was 6 weeks. Made a little cameo against Burnley, didn't he? And you think, well, okay, but. And again, this is, as Craig said earlier, this is no disrespect to Humphreys, but in a game like yesterday, quite a physical game yesterday, Humphreys could well have struggled in that game, and that they then would have taken, would no doubt have taken on some. Morsey would have wanted to assume a much more responsible, perhaps dominant role. So yeah, I don't know what Craig thought. I thought Luongo was my man of the match yesterday. Just everything he did is so good.
That's the thing. It was everything he did. Because it wasn't just it wasn't just on the ball where he was like breaking the lines. He's passing. He was winning the ball back, wasn't he? Multiple times he was getting his foot stuck in. He was being brave. There was the first half where he won the free kick right on the edge of the box. He went up for a header, knowing damn well he's going to get absolutely clattered here, but did it to win his team the free kick. It was an all-round centre midfield performance yesterday.
And I've seen it mentioned on the Telegram group. He could well be the best of the three signings. He could well turn out to be the most important and the best of the three.
A point that was made in ITV land yesterday as well, that you can have your £1 million fullbacks, but a bit of experience in central midfield. And Dave, you've mentioned it so many times over the years of the pod. Sometimes you stumble on something. The plan was obviously Morsey and Evans the whole time. Luongo comes in as a bit of depth, and he's going to finish out the season next.
And maybe even, again, we must sort of, just give a thought to poor Edmondson, who's out again for the season. Maybe again, if he'd have stayed fit, it perhaps would have been Wolford, and clearly was first choice centre half at the start of the season, but fitness has meant his lack of his injuries has meant Burgess has had an extended run in the side, and I think. Yeah, going back to the perhaps Cambridge game, Bristol Rovers game, there was some doubt over him, but he's been magnificent in these last few games. These last, I think he was again at Bolton last week, but even those home games where we had a lot of possession, you switch off. I think he's been absolutely superb, and he really stood up. He was brilliant again yesterday, wasn't he? He was winning balls, those long throws in the box, he's pretty much winning everything. So yeah, again, perhaps we've chanced upon that sort of thing, and it gives, as I said before, I think it just gives a better balance left foot, right foot.
Craig, we'll do this slightly differently. I'll give you the numbers now, and you can tell me how the game was seen out, just to go with my complete confirmation bias, although I think you've already spelled out the narrative. So 65-35 Town on the possession, 1.36 our XG. Look at that, 0.36 conceded. That is excellent, despite Walton having to make a couple of saves. 22 shots, Craig, just the one big chance, but in all the interviews, Kieran McKenna seems to have been banging this drum of, right, you're going to have a lot of the ball, you've got to move it quickly, you've got to bide your time, you've got to be sharp in it. I assume you're going to tell me that's how the game played out after goal 2.
Yeah, pretty much. As we said at the beginning, it was just a professional performance. Certainly once it went to 2-0, the game was just seen out with very little threat. Shrewsbury remained rigid, dogged, but we weren't really in any trouble other than a corner here or there putting under the bar, which Walton dealt with in the main, apart from being landed on, I think at one point, wasn't he, by Dunkley, and had a bit of a break in play. But as Dave said, we dealt with the aerial threat, whether that be Wolfenden or whether that be Burgess, but then also Davis. Davis wins his fair share of headers, doesn't he? He seems to jump pretty much when the ball's being kicked, let alone when it's approaching him. Just sort of hangs there, doesn't he?
Good in the air. Burns was good in the air yesterday. Burns won everything. Well, he had to yesterday. Yeah, both wide players.
But then again, that probably shows that even as a team, they're getting used to League One and League One styles of football. They're now standing up to that more physical aerial barrage as well. So, and what was also there were many times yesterday where it didn't things just didn't quite come off. Whether we had lots of chances in and around the box, there was little flicks and passes that, crikey, thought if that had gone through, that'd been a hell of a goal. There was a passage of play right in front of Dave in the first half. I can't remember
So
who
when
was involved.
Hurst hit the post.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it was played into Hurst, wasn't it? Clark, wasn't it? Clark
Plays a little ball into Chaplin, who plays a ridiculous 5-yard no eyes ball almost inside, doesn't he?
But then Hurst takes this one touch with his right, hit with his left. It hits, smacks against the post, doesn't it? So they're just a team playing full of confidence, and they're all just so trusting of each other. You know, they know that they're good players. They know they're good players at this level, and now they've got not only got the understanding, they're sort of trusting each other with balls pinged into feet, and then now they're running off each other. They know where each other are running at certain times. You know, they look like a proper well-drilled, coached.
And it's just lovely to watch, isn't it? It's easy on the eye, and it's really nice. It's really nice to watch. And right the way through the team. And
that's one thing we mustn't forget, because I had one of these back in the day history things pop up on my Facebook, and I took my little girl to her first match 7 years ago today. Ipswich Town 0, Rotherham 1. Leon Best. Leon Best, yes.
Warnock was manager, wasn't he?
That was not the best game to be introducing a
was that not the
6-year-old girl to at the time.
Douglas, Skews, and Hyam 3-man central midfield.
Axis, 3-man axis. I think it probably was.
Made our poor mate GB lose his mind over on naked football.
But just wasn't that long ago we were watching that sort of style of football ourselves.
Right, guys, let's not labour. This sounds silly on the match. We'll go into what else went down in the kind of promotion shake-up, and then we'll go to your questions. So don't stick your questions in yet, chaps, and we will get to them very, very imminently. But over the weekend in League One, Sheffield Wednesday 1, Bolton 1. Wednesday, 23 matches unbeaten, I think. Games in hand. It's amazingly tight still, but I think there's enough credit in the bank for me to still have them as champions elect, looking at their running. Lincoln 0, Peterborough 3 is not... I don't like that one little bit, because they're gaining on Bolton, and I don't like the idea of playing Peterborough in the playoffs just on a... They can score 2 goals in a playoff game quite easy. But anyway, there you go. Stanley 0, MK 1. Huge win for MK down at the bottom. Bristol Rovers 0, Pompey 2. Cambridge 1, Charlton 2, Cheltenham 3, Exeter 1. Shocker, Derby 0, Fleetwood 2. And we'll see what the chat says on this as to whether Derby's downturn is maybe happening 1 week too soon, because they've got Peterborough next Saturday as well. The EFL highlights are going to be emanating from Peterborough next weekend, so we'll be all over that. But very interesting to see what Derby are up to ahead of our meeting with them. Morecambe 1, Oxford 1 helps neither team particularly. There's the big one. Plymouth 2, Forest Green 0. We learn very little because Forest Green are absolutely dreadful, aren't they? But Plymouth are still pumping up the home points. Bit more of a difficult game on Tuesday that we'll get to. Port Vale 2, Burton 3, and Wickham 0, Barnsley 1. Barnsley kind of labouring, not playing that well. Bringing in a player who hasn't really done a lot this season. Hail Mary, get him off the bench, getting the win. They're churning it out. So, Craig, where are you with this now? Or is this a conversation for 5 minutes' time where we've not really learnt a hell of a lot? Plymouth are very good. Sheffield Wednesday are probably still in a little conversation on their own, and Barnsley are coming strong. What do you think?
Yeah, that Barnsley one was a bit of a kick in the...
It was a bit of a blow, wasn't it?
It was, kick in there. I was going to say, especially you thought, well, get correctly. If they drop 2 points to Wickham, that's going to do us a favour. But I think we just need to look up the table rather than back. There's all that you can pretty much guarantee. Those teams that got playoffs are now looking at us and thinking, crikey, that's a team. We are now the feared team, aren't we? Let's not concern ourselves about anybody else. The Barnsley postponement actually is probably worth having a little chat about.
I'll do a straw poll in that. I'm fascinated to see what the chat says about that. Keep your powder dry on that one, chat. I think we'll be split right down the middle on that one. I'm going to be fascinated to
you reckon?
See. I don't know. Yeah. The people will people. I'm split down the middle on it, so the people will tell us. We'll see what you guys have to say as well. Obviously, Dave, reflections. Can you drill in a bit on Derby as well?
Yeah,
and whether they dropping two? Will they have bounced back by the time we play them?
You'd hope not, but yeah, that was a surprise. That was a real surprise, wasn't it? Yeah, Fleetwood and yeah, seemingly, saw the edited highlights. Seemingly quite deserved it. I think they threw on. I think McGoldrick was bench when he came on at half time.
44 minutes.
44 minutes, yeah, and even for once he didn't have an impact. So, yeah, great result for Fleetwood. Yeah, I mean, just getting back, Sheffield Wednesday are just resilient, aren't they? And you expect them to stay the course, but hell of a game this midweek coming up, isn't it? Hell of a game.
I will be there on Tuesday.
You said that, wowzers! Yeah, what a game!
It.
And I think, did I not see somewhere? I think they're playing before we play Derby, April the 1st. They're playing 3 times.
Yes,
3 times before that.
We'll get into all of this now.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, I tend to agree with you, Peterborough. I mean, they can certainly concede, but they can score seemingly. Well, other than last week, I think it was they can score seemingly at will. And
personally, Dave, sorry to interrupt. I do think Bolton will stabilise. I just don't like the idea of Johnson, Clark, Harris, basically, and Burrows, Poku, Taylor.
Yeah, and of
course, haven't they?
And of course, we've got to go there, haven't we? We have. We've still got to. We've still got to go there. So, yeah. If I think if I'm pushed, Sheffield Wednesday. You say that, they lose. I don't know what to think about them losing to Barnsley. I can't. I don't know.
Dave, their next 8 games Wednesday after they play Barnsley are all against bottom half teams.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
So here's look. I'll throw to Craig now. Here's where I am with it. Plymouth and Sheffield Wednesday both have better runs in on paper. Please save the comments. Blah blah blah. Teams scrapping for their lives. I'm just telling you what the league table says. Okay, you can interpret that how you see fit. No disrespect. I don't care. We'll see what happens in the future. Wednesday have got 2 more games of easier running than Plymouth has. So, Craig, I still maintain if we're doing this, we're doing it the hard way and we'll bloody well deserve it going to Derby and Peterborough and Barnsley in the running. But what about Tuesday night, Craig? Accrington away for Plymouth. If they were to lose that game, they would then become a sitting duck in terms of Ipswich and Barnsley would be able to pass them with games in hand. Forget about Sheffield Wednesday for a minute. Are you optimistic about Plymouth, whose away form is not good? Possible, and let's be honest, if they don't win, that's a result. Yeah.
And if John Coleman can stop whining and moaning for 2 or 3 days,
absolutely not going to happen.
2 or 3 days and set his team up to win a game of football.
That won't happen, will it?
It'll be someone else's fault if they don't happen to win. It's a long old trek on a Tuesday night from Plymouth to Accrington, isn't it? So yeah, there's every chance they will drop points. You say, Ben, they're not spectacular. They're certainly not as spectacular away from home as they are at home. And
52 points, Craig, at home.
Yeah, absolutely. They'd be about 10th or 11th on the back of that alone, wouldn't they? I think. So yeah, and as you say again about Sheffield Wednesday having played their games, by the time we get to play Derby, things will be a hell of a lot clearer, won't they? Because things would have been evened up.
Plymouth could be top.
Well, they could be.
Conversely, Sheffield Wednesday could be over the hill and
over the horizon.
Yeah.
So Wednesday played they've got their 2 games in hand this midweek at Barnsley. Then, and this is my thing, Tuesday night is massive for Barnsley, I think, because Sheffield Wednesday can lose to Barnsley. Then they play Forest Green, Cheltenham, somebody else at the weekend. Even if they could lose 5-0 to Barnsley, win the next 3, bang, 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 and over the hills and far away with the games in hand. But Dave, if Barnsley break that 23-match undefeated streak for Wednesday.
Yeah.
Do they then, in terms of momentum and whatever?
I say that'd be a huge result, wouldn't it? That would really, really be a huge result. And for us, look, we as we say the old cliche, we see it so much on our Telegram. Going, let's just take care. Let's take care of the games our games as they come. And we're the team with momentum. We're the team with this, with the best record in the division now. Last 6 games, won 6 on the spin, ridiculous. Let's take that forward. But yeah, a Barnsley victory over Sheffield Wednesday would think, don't know what's the best outcome for us in that game to keep Sheffield Wednesday a draw or Sheffield Wednesday win.
I genuinely
Sheffield Wednesday win.
Yeah. Well, because Dave, whatever the outcome of that,
good point. Yeah, they're going to beat Forestry. Yeah,
literally, a week. The best outcome is nothing to do with that game. Frankly, I think the best outcome is
an Accrington
scraping a point or something against. And Craig, my take is whatever happens between Barnsley and Wednesday happens between Barnsley and Wednesday. Because the truth is, with Barnsley, they can reel us in on April the 25th. So look, let's go to the chat here, guys. I want a straw poll on this one. Just give me a yes or no, assuming the players were available to play, and you've got Ipswich 6 straight wins, Barnsley 9 wins in 11. Would you have preferred to actually play Barnsley on March the 25th, wouldn't it? This coming Saturday. Would you prefer to play the game in our current run, but with Barnsley on the current run? Or are you happier that it goes towards the end of the season? And that, my friends, is going to be one of the tensest games in Ipswich's recent history. It's going to be 3 from the end. Let me know, guys, in the chat. Would you have preferred to play it, assuming we did have Broadhead, et cetera, and the players weren't missing? Would you have preferred to play it this weekend, or do you like kicking it down the road? Let me just see what the guys are saying in the chat, and then you guys can come. Let me just quick, a big thank you, Nathan. 7 Aussie dollars, $7.99. Morning from Melbourne. Everyone, good performance. 9 more wins to go. Thank you, Nathan, for the super chat. Right, it is going to be split, isn't it? Yes. Play now. No. Yes. I want to play them tonight. No. Don't play. No. I think the no's have got it. Yes. No. Yes. Happy to play it. I knew it was going to be.
The no's have it. I
knew it was going to be split.
As Cloughie said to Robson in 81, I want to play you on the beach tomorrow night.
I'll give my view, and then we'll go to Craig, then we'll go to Dave. I like it postponed, personally. I think I like the gap, have a little bit of a recoup and really charge at those last bits. The run, okay, we've got to play Derby, but the run can maybe be protected without having to go to Barnsley. And as was used a lot during COVID about politics, Craig, kick it down the road and we'll deal with it later was my take. What's your take, Craig?
Yeah, I think knowing that we weren't having Broadhead, knowing that we weren't having Burns, then you postpone it because we've got momentum, but they are part of the momentum that we have built. Certainly the form that Burns is now in, and that Broadhead has been in for a few weeks. There's no real reason to have played it, especially because I don't think Barnsley missing one player, I think, as well. So you're doing yourself a disservice by going ahead with it. So I've got no issue at all with it being postponed. As you say, Ben, I think what they'll do now is they've got 2 weeks, haven't they, to basically take it. I think Mick Mills said it on the radio actually yesterday after the match. Treat it like a mini pre-season. Get yourselves ready because we've now got a sprint to the 8th of May. No, 1st of May was it 30, wherever that weekend is in Fleetwood.
8th.
Yeah, so just treat it as this is now a block of fixtures that we can
9
now
games.
fully prepare for. Yeah, that's right, and just let them loose from Derby onwards, really, to finish off the season.
What's your take, Dave?
Yeah, we can't be going into these games with any less confidence, can we? I mean, what a run! Best run since. Go on, Craig. You say it. 91, 92, isn't it? I believe
the Witten Juggernaut, wasn't it?
The Witten Juggernaut. I think that did. I checked that. That ended with a Witten winner against Watford, I think.
Away. Yes, indeed.
There you go. It's an interesting one. In between that game, Derby have got Peterborough away on the 20th this weekend, I think. Yeah. So it's
Derby got hard running. They've got Sheffield Wednesday, but Wednesday will probably be up by then, won't they? So
Derby's a funny one, actually. But as you talk, just quickly referring back to yesterday's results, that as you said, Ben, McGoldrick come on 44. I think they made 2 subs on 44 minutes and 2 subs at half time.
He was
would have
furious.
been. Can you imagine what the change room was like at half time?
Well, but this is the moment now where that either jolts them and they win 5 of the next 6, which they're coming up against us, or if Peterborough beat them next week, are you then looking at, are they a sitting duck for Darren Ferguson and Johnson Clark Harris to overtake them? Guys, get your questions in now. We'll go to the questions segment imminently. Guys, from my seat here, the comments move well quick, so stick a question mark at the end of it. Some people put a Q in front of it, Dave, which helps me out as well. If you want your question read, do it that way. I've got stuff from Rich. ITFC women, top of the league, courtesy of a 4-1 away win at struggling Crawley. Crawley is struggling in the... actually, Crawley had a good win yesterday in League 2, didn't they, in the men's and women's game. Goals from Gray, Godfrey, Horwood and King Town atop, courtesy of Oxford's game at Watford being postponed. Get your questions in, guys. And Dave, plug for the Telegram. If you join the Telegram, you may be able to come and eat dinner with us in a couple of weeks as well.
So I understand.
This was my idea. If you don't like it,
so I understand. Yeah, there's a kind of a curry club meet up. Obviously, Ipswich have got the coffee club. We've got the Blue Monday Curry Club, which is I think it's having its first get together on Thursday, the 30th of March, I believe.
And if you join up on Telegram, 2-week free trial, come and join us. Come and chew the fat, Craig. Chew the blooming madras, more like.
Not in Zyka, I don't think. They'll be better than that.
He's given away.
The location.
They don't need to sign up now. He's giving away the location and the date as
well.
No.
That was the report. The mooted location.
I've given it away now. Anyway.
We actually tried one out last night, actually, but not Zyka. But anyway,
there you go. Right, guys. There's loads of questions, so we'll try. I say this every week, you guys listening. We'll try and move through quickly. They won't answer quickly, I promise you. Where are we going to start? Lee, Craig, what do we make of the Colby Bishop interest as it stands? We'd rather keep Hurst.
Oh, God, yeah. I think Hurst is a completely different level to Colby Bishop. That was an interesting one, actually, wasn't it? I don't really understand why we. It's sort of on the back of, if we were to get promoted, Phil in TWDT his story was on the back of the report saying that if we were to get promoted, we'd be he's one of the names that we're looking at. But yeah, I don't know. We're not sure we're looking at thousands, but I'd imagine a lot of them are of a higher. No disrespect to Colby Bishop,
but of a higher. Having a great 17, I think, for Pompey.
Yeah. In League One, but if we're getting promoted to the Championship, you would have thought we'd be looking at George Hurst level strikers rather than Colby Bishop level strikers. I would have thought he would be one I would have thought we'd go for if we didn't get promoted and couldn't get George Hurst back. In League One.
Dave, who is back up for Edmondson now? Is that Keogh, or could you see a bit of a reshuffle?
I think it probably is Keogh, isn't it? As it stands, as I said before, Edmondson's out for the season, so Clark could potentially play there. I guess Don Ball has played there, I think, so maybe. But you would probably think that it possibly would be Keogh. It's a blow, Edmondson, isn't it? I mean, I think John Jules again would have been a great asset. 'Cause he's a great player. Would have been a great asset for us. But I think in that role we've got enough. We've certainly got more than enough cover for for that particular role. Perhaps the perceived 10 role. But it's a bit of a concern. That.
I do wonder if that'd be Don Ball, to be honest. Now he's
possibly right, Craig.
I'm going to move you on, guys.
Sorry.
Slightly presumptuous question from MJ, but I like it. If we go up, do you think we could do a Chris Wilder's Sheffield United from a few years ago, i.e., finish 9th and then finish 2nd? High standards. What do you think, Craig? Let's be fair though. There was a tactical side to that we wouldn't have, that just completely caught the Championship by surprise, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. But as we've seen with a lot of teams, and as we've spoken about before, and other people have spoken about in terms of not only the momentum that you get when you do get promoted, but also being set up to play in the Championship rather than potentially a short-term fix to get you promoted, and then having to rebuild, re-sign players, get another way of playing once you're in the Championship. We're sort of hopefully putting those building blocks in place now that would see us in good stead should we ever get out of this godforsaken league. So yeah, I can see us doing okay. You know, look at the teams. Look at Sunderland, who are in a similar position to us last year. You know, they've gone and gone again. You know, the teams that are, you know, better than anyone here, Ben, that the teams that are in the top 8, you know, they're not teams that we should be particularly frightened of, are they? Some of the teams that are in and around that top 8, top 10, there's no reason why we shouldn't expect to hold our own, I'd have thought.
I'll tell you, and I know this is not about this, but how well are Luton doing? They're just staying the course.
Well, but that's the proof of the pudding there.
They're just staying
our good friends Barnsley finished in the playoffs. Luton have been in the playoffs. Coventry aren't far away. These are all teams that have been in League One that have either had a lightning in the bottle season like Barnsley did, or in terms of Luton and Coventry, you would say they've had a bit less financial input than we have to be very frank about this. What we're spending in League One is probably not what Luton are spending to be 4th in the Championship. So on that basis,
amazing.
And should we go up, we'd be spending again to get us further up the league, you would have thought.
Yes. Zorro Arc, 9 games, 27 available points. How many are we getting? I'm going 25. Now look, I think the important thing we've got to understand about
Zorro's going to be told off here.
No, he's not going to be told off. No, absolutely not. We love all the listeners. I would never tell them off much. There's this kind of mix, isn't there, in this running where there's Wickham, there's Peterborough, there's Barnsley, and there's Derby. It's almost like the other games are the important ones. You just have to win all of them. And draws, Dave, will bloody kill you in this running, won't they?
Yeah, it will. I mean, realistically, what do you say? So if Zoa, what do you say? 90. Well, so that's another.
Yeah, he's got 25 points.
97 points. 97 points. If we don't go up with 97 points,
I've said this many times. We all stand
away
here
my season ticket,
and we give Stephen Schumacher a standing ovation, don't we?
No.
Or Mike Duff, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think. Well, what does it take? I mean, crikey, yeah. If you can get 7, as you say, the draws kill you, but 7 wins will put you on what 96? What is that? No, 7 wins will put you on 96.
Dave, I think my broader point is it's not the end of the world. There's 4 games there where it's not the end of the world if you win 2 of them and you lose 2 of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Wickham, Derby, Barnsley, and Peterborough. It's not the end of the world, providing wins it. Whereas if you, like we were earlier in the season, in big games, drawing lots of them, that especially with Plymouth are going to be banging out home wins against Burton and whoever else. Yeah, exactly. So there we go. Right, I'm going to take this, and I'm going to take it very advisedly. Gary, who will be the first person to be turfed in the air by Morsey at Pride Park? We all know the answer to that, but we don't endorse hatchet jobs. We think David McGoldrick is a very, very good player, but I think we all know the answer to that question, don't we? And we hope he's fit, but yes, that is exactly what's going to be happening. Craig, question: finish second or guaranteed win at Wembley in the play? I want to go to Wembley, Craig.
Go, crikey.
If Neil can guarantee it, then I'll go to Wembley as well. Yeah, it's been a while since we've been there, isn't it?
Yeah, me too. We spoke about that last night. I think it's going to be a Blue Monday shower bang as well if it happens.
LG, are you happy with the obligation to buy Hurst for 2 million if he makes 10 starts with us? I don't know whether there's any truth in that.
No, I don't know that
whatsoever. But Craig likes him. Would you like him at 2 million, presuming it's a championship move?
Yeah, I think so. In the championship, as Craig said earlier, he would be the sort of caliber of player you would certainly be looking towards. And crikey, if we can get him for 2 million, then absolutely.
Big Cheese Comedy, do you think we can go unbeaten to the end of the season? I'm going to repeat the point I just made. I don't think we will, and I don't think that matters, providing there's 6, 7 wins in there. What do you think, Craig?
Yeah. And I think, there's no reason why we shouldn't be expecting to win our remaining, 4 home games, is it? So, there's...
Well, I'll parlay this in at the same time from Colin. I think we can win all 9 games, do you, lads? If we do that, what will that be? 15 in a row to go to win Prematch.
That's like Liverpool. That's like Liverpool under Paisley run. That's ridiculous.
Probably that season where Man City got 101 and Liverpool got 100 or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, God, yeah. But we're also going to win all 9 without conceding a goal again as well.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Can I just say, with this streak thing at the moment, I don't feel comfortable using that Bristol Rovers game. Everyone going, oh, but we've got 7 clean sheets. Everyone was moaning after that Bristol Rovers game. We're not adding it to the start of a braggadocious run here.
Still a clean sheet. Is it like 18 goals without reply, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's
crazy.
incredible.
Steve, I think we've already answered about Colby Bishop, but thank you to the question. Rich, dare I say it, but might the automatic business be done by the time we play? Well, I hope not, because I hope we're still involved. I think the title might be done,
us.
Dave. But
it might be us.
The Sheffield Wednesday should have won the title by then, shouldn't they?
Yeah, I think so.
April
But I
25th.
think maybe what Rich is alluding to there, it might be us. Plymouth might fall off a cliff, and we might be up by then.
Oh, well, we need to go. We need to go to Barnsley and draw to get automatic promotion. Cue James Norwood in the 98th minute.
Exeter at home. It'll all be well. It'll all be well. Don't worry.
Kev, do you think Wednesday are cut and dry, especially if they lose to Barnsley? They are due a defeat. They are due a defeat. What goes up must come down. Again, I think they're probably, even if they did lose, they'll probably score 7 at least points from the next 3 games, possibly 9 after that. So I think they'll be all right. Neil, Craig, take this one. If we get an injury at centre half, would you play Clark or Danasi? No question that.
Yeah, I think as you say, I don't think you'd play Clark there. I think Clark's cementing his place and is pretty much integral to the way we play down that right hand side now. Now he's got his relationship with Burns. I'd be tempted to put Ball there, to be honest. Now he's a decent size, isn't he? He's played there before, and he's slightly quicker, shall we say, than Richard Keogh, and I think he'd probably be trusted a bit more there than Danasian as a central defender. He's a big guy and he's a unit as well. So and he'd be comfortable on the ball. I think.
Dave, this is a good question. Malcolm, Plymouth in the Papa John's final, is that good for us as another game? I actually think it is. I think.
Absolutely.
Sunderland and Rotherham, I think, last year all got to that final and had poor runs afterwards.
On a strength-sapping Wembley pitch. I hope it goes to extra time and penalties. And yeah, absolutely. Of course, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Coxey, what is the thought on Town kicking towards which end? It's changed the last few home games. Craig, is that the other team winning the toss?
Yeah, it is. Because you can whoever takes the kickoff didn't make the decision, basically. And we've been taking the kickoff, so it's the opposition that have been making the decision. Bizarrely, because for the last 3 home games when we've done it, we've played very, very well in the first half. Because I've been watching all the goals going at the very other end of the pitch.
Yeah,
it's kind of nice, isn't it? Because they see it as some kind of marginal gain. We'll do whatever we can to try and
knock them off. Yeah,
knock them off their stride. We would all do the same. Great thing is, it's completely not working. So. No. Yeah, I like that. Mullet Dave. Midgilton in the Hall of Fame is a lovely touch after his time away from the club. Who would you put in there, Dave?
Wow. Who's left to go in? My God. That probably takes some thinking about that one. I'm just trying to think who's not in there.
Yeah, that's the question.
Is Darren Bent in there?
Stick those lot in there.
There you go. Craig, obviously, obvious choice for you. I assume he's not already in there, Craig, isn't he?
No, I don't think so, mate. No.
No, that is a very, very good question, and one I'd give some thought.
Give us some thought. Give us some thought. We'll answer in Telegram. Wow. Is Mullet in Telegram? Yeah. He must be.
Nah, he's tight, isn't he?
Is he not?
He is. Don't think so.
Damn it. Craig, do we know what's happened to Humphreys? Is it because KM Watts expect? I think he's answered his own question there, hasn't he, Craig?
Yeah, he was. Humphreys was there yesterday. He was like signing kids' autographs, walking along. They all sit behind the bench anyway. He was just wandering along in his tracksuit trousers and what have you, and shaking hands and saying hello to people. So, he's around. I think he's probably played more than he was expecting, than the club was expecting this year, and it's only be good for him in the long run. But if you've got a choice of Luongo and Dominic Ball, in the hurly-burly of a League One centre midfield, you'll, with all due respect to Karen Humphreys, you'll be putting those grown men in there for the battle, you would have thought, certainly for these last few games.
I think I'm being mocked with this question here, but I'm going to take it anyway. Horse Hollerer. Ben, do you see any improvement in our patterns of play compared to the dominant 3-0 versus Shrewsbury under Paul Lambert? Yes, I do. We look like a much better football team. I keep getting banged over the head with that, don't I? But yeah. Dennis, can we possibly see SW Cole back to the pack. I don't know what that means. If Barnsley do the business Tuesday, probably best to see Barnsley knocked down.
Sheffield Wednesday. That's
Sheffield
Sully. No, that's
Come.
it's Sully.
possibly
Sheffield Wednesday
Sheffield
come
Wednesday?
back to back. No, that's
That's
a no for me, Dave.
Probably best to see.
Will they come back to the pack with a defeat? I've said about
no,
3 times.
I just don't think so, because you say I think you're right, Ben. They'll probably get 7 out of the next 9 points after that, even if they did. Yeah,
agreed. Tony, Craig, do you think Hurst has added that aggression, nastiness? Not nasty, is he?
He was yesterday.
Yeah, spiky.
He was winding up. Actually, I saw him winding up Matt Pennington, wasn't he, at one point?
Yeah, he left his foot in a couple of times as well.
Yeah,
I think he's just playing with confidence, and he's got a good confidence in his own ability. He knows he's a good player, and he's not scared to put it about. What he was absolutely goosed on about 65 minutes. Poor guy could barely break into a sprint. So,
pitch was cutting up. Yeah, I mean, all right,
we had a slipping over.
We've had a shed load of rain, haven't we? But it was really cutting up yesterday. Yeah.
They do. The guys that play that number 9, as we've said before, they have to do so much running from the front. Yeah, from back to forth, the goalkeeper to centre half. They sprint pretty much from the first whistle.
Yeah.
This is a great question. Can I start off on this one? Christoph Finn. Is it not easy to go up in the playoffs now than to have a nearly 100% record over 9 games to go up automatic rate? Where I think he's going with that is this idea of how you run in affects a potential possible playoff. And obviously people know my head explodes when people call the playoffs a lottery, which is totally the wrong word to describe them. It is tournament football. It may be brutal. It may not always go as you expect it. Lottery, it ain't. But Dave, is there something to? I know we came a cropper to Charlton when I think they'd had an 8-game winning streak going into them, and that winning streak continued right through the playoffs. We've seen teams rest a couple of players and throw to Aston Villa and then win the playoffs in the last couple of. Is there? Do you believe in that rationale that if you're focused right on second place up to the last minute, by definition, someone else in 5th and 6th could be way more focused on the playoffs than you've been?
Well, we've seen it before, haven't we? We've seen it happen before. In those, we've all seen it in those Burley years leading up to the final. Leading up to 2000 when we finally did get up. We saw it. We're in pole
98,
position.
99, yeah.
90, we've seen that all. We've seen that all before. Mate, it is a lottery, but I think, thinking when we last got in the playoffs, so 14-15, we just in a crap run of form, weren't we? I mean, after Crewe, we just fell over the. Well, we did. We got.
Dave, as
just
I'm
fell
always
over it.
keen
Derby.
to point out at that time. Sorry to interrupt, Dave.
Yeah.
Norwich at that point had the highest ever wage bill the Championship had ever seen. Was what we were coming up against. Yeah.
So, and if you remember, we just fell over the line, because Derby missed out last game of the season. We got beat by Blackburn, didn't we? Derby. So we weren't in a great run of form then. If we continue this run of form and say we don't make it, which let's face it would probably mean we'll probably draw a couple of those games and a couple of defeats. So we got 5 more victories in that. Would still be in a half reasonable run of form. So you'd hope to take that into the playoffs and carry on that momentum, but. It's going to be as we say, it's Ipswich, and it's going to be a roller coaster 9 games, isn't it? It just is.
And the thing is, once you get to playoffs,
miles behind the comments here. There's lots of suggestions, but we'll put some of those up. Sorry, Craig. Before you say your answer, can I just throw in? Our big games have all been very tight this season. We haven't lost many of them, but they've been very tight. Extra time.
Yeah, that's right. And the thing is, once you get to the playoffs, it's over 2 games. I'm
just saying all the things I dread for if they could actually happen. Craig, sorry, I've interrupted you 10 times.
No, you're right. I was just saying, if over 2 games, you would hope that the statistics and the stats bear it out that we just don't offer teams chances. So on a one-off game, you could probably think, crikey, we might come a cropper in a one-off game. Over a 2-legged playoff semi-final, you would hope that you're playing for a longer period of time. So therefore, the stats will bear out that the better team should.
And also, Craig, just the strength of the squad. Crikey, you know, look at the bench again yesterday. It's ridiculous, really.
Yeah.
It really is. So
Then
yeah, you would think, well, why would we not go into it with, you know, everything else happened? Okay, 14-15 season was a bit of an anomaly, but you know, everything else happened 15 seasons ago or more. So yeah,
Oh, yeah, no one's affected by that, are they?
nah, not
I
at all.
bloody well am. Anyway.
Yeah, we're all scarred. We're scarred. Yeah.
It's some great show. Richard Wright, Colin Viljohn, Craig Forrest, Colin Viljohn.
Colin Viljohn, Colin is a great. Is Paul Cooper not in there yet?
Fabian Wilness. I'm just reading the ones out here.
Paul
Clapham,
Cooper. Yeah. I mean,
Eric Gates,
is he not?
Viljohn.
No.
If Eric Gates isn't in there, then
yeah, no, I'd say Eric Gates. Yeah, Viljohn left under a bit of cloud, but what a great player in those first great Robson teams, absolutely class player. But I didn't realise that Gates or Cooper weren't in there. So yeah, obviously 81. Either of those two are a great shout.
Get the whole bloody squad in.
Absolutely.
One for me to finish. What did you make of the mess at Rotherham yesterday? Do you think they wanted to get it? I do think they wanted to get the game off, obviously, but I'm not saying it was a ridiculous.
Were they not?
They were pushing water onto the pitch.
They were pushing water on the pitch.
Look, I think that picture everyone's seen was after the game had been called off in that corner of the pitch. So I think that was the world of Twitter. Obviously, it suited them to get the game called off.
Also, we saw something quite unusual at Portman Road yesterday. Cleaning of the Cobbold executive box windows while the match was in progress, Craig.
From the inside or out?
Outside.
Outside in?
Yeah. Confessions of a window cleaner.
Confessions of a window cleaner. Yeah. During the game.
Interesting. Very interesting. Right, guys, obviously, we have no match at the weekend, so we can't really look ahead, but I'm sure everybody will have their eyes on Tuesday night, Accrington Stanley versus Plymouth. Please draw. And Barnsley versus Sheffield Wednesday. I will be there. I don't care what the result is. I think we've established that. But do check out my socials if you want to check in on, particularly on Barnsley, because I'm going to be seeing them firsthand. Then at the weekend, we do get a Sheffield Wednesday game. Plymouth and Bolton are in the Pizza Cup. We've got that Peterborough Derby game. And then we're over to next weekend, as Dave points out, Sheffield Wednesday and Barnsley both play in that midweek. I believe I'm right. So Sheffield Wednesday got
Exeter, Barnsley, Sheffield Wednesday, Cheltenham.
So there's a lot to happen and a lot to talk about before we get there. And for all the people that say, oh, we just need to concentrate on ourselves. Yeah, we get it, but it ain't going to stop us talking about all the other stuff going on. Right, Craig, last word from you.
Well, not a lot to say, really. Just remember, Rotherham 1-0 at home. You know, the football we're playing at the moment, the results again, it's just fantastic, isn't it? Just drink it in while we can.
Drink it in. Dave, last word from you.
Pop Master.
Pop Master. Last word from me. Come on, Accrington Stanley.
Come on.